Dear participants, students, research scholars from different parts of the country, really I'm happy to introduce today's resource person, Dr. S. Balamurugan, a senior faculty member, recently deputed to the Periyar Government Arts College, Kadalur, an associate professor having a rich experience in teaching political science and public administration. And Sir has given number of special lectures, invited lectures in colleges and other institutions, that is a UGC, HRDC, that is a Human Resource Development Center, a sincere teacher, dedicated researcher, having a rich experience in doing research, especially in the field of marginalized community, that is a scheduled tribe in Nilgiris and Kodaikanal, Kolli Hills and other parts of Tamil Nadu. Now, it is our pleasure to welcome Dr. Balamurugan, and he is ready to deliver the lecture on decision making principles and the process, as well as what are various kinds of decision making. And as you know, in public administration, we used to say that every individual is a decision making maker in an organization. So the kind of decision making, the gravity of the decision making may differ from one person to another person. But everybody is a decision maker in the family, outside the family, and in education institution, on working place, etc., etc. So, as rightly pointed out by Thiruvulluvar, taking a day's decision in a right time and appropriate time and appropriate decision is very important. So, during the COVID-19 pandemic period, so the decision-making topic would be very, very useful. And this figures one of the important aspect in life skills for the students of various discipline. So we have chosen the topic and we have rightly identified the right person, Dr. Balamurugan, to speak. And certainly the next 45 to 1 hour, the session is going to be extremely useful. And after the presentation, 10 to 15 minutes, you can interact with the resource person, and there is a chatting room is available, and you can also pose your questions, or by clicking the symbol, hand symbol, you can also raise your questions. And once again, I welcome you on behalf of the department, HOD, and our own technical team, Ms. Narmada and Mr. Sivanesan. Thank you, one and all. Be patient and continue and stay with us. Now it's the time to Dr. S. Balamurugan, and he will speak on decision making. Just a minute.
Good morning, participants. Sorry for the inconvenience caused and delay due to the technical issue. I welcome you, or welcome all the participants to the second day of the 4-day online course on life skills. Initially, I express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Subramanian sir, Professor and Head, Department of Political Science and Public Administration of Annamalai University, for the wonderful opportunity rendered to me. I thank Professor Saktivel sir, beloved brother of me, Deputy Controller of Examinations, for his generous remarks, which I do not know whether I deserve it or not. Thank you, sirs. Today, the topic of discussion is decision making. So every one of us are taking decisions in our personal life, starting from the dawn to dusk, starting from the beginning of our life till day. So every day we take decisions. So here I'm going to discuss with you the kinds, importance, and the major processes which are there in the decision making. So first I start with small quotations from important things on decision making. Life is not a matter of choice, it's a matter of choice. So what we have today is all because of the matter of choice. We have a choices everywhere. What we study today is a matter of choice. We have chosen this. Who is our life partner? It is the choice. Where we get employment, it is a choice. So it is more than a chance, it is a matter of choices. Chances are there. Among the chances, we choose a particular choice. There comes your decision making. There is a thinker called Simon Sinek who talks about decision making. He tells that there are two kinds of decisions, the right decisions and the lesson learned. Two things, only two things. If it is a right decision, you can get success. You will get success in the decision making. And the decision is what you aspire, you'll get the result. Then comes lesson learned. Here, the Simon Sinek emphasizes the need for learning the lessons. We cannot take decisions every time in a perfect manner. The decisions may go wrong. But what we learn from the decision, from the negative decision, from the wrong decision is more important. Once we learn from the wrong decisions, then that is the experience. More than studying the book, more than viewing something, more than learning something, more than listening something, what we experience personally, that is more important, more crucial in the decision making. So the lessons learned is most important thing. Here I want to give one example. Every one of us know Sachin Tendulkar, the famous cricketer of India. When he was at the peak of his form, that means in the late 90s, he was in the peak of the form. There was a match between India and Pakistan, where Pakistan captain was Imran Khan. So during that time, Sachin Tendulkar has particular flaw in his batting. That means in the initial overs, before he settles down, if that particular ball is bowled, he may lose the wicket. The ball may go to a fielder as a catch. So in order to capitalize this weakness, Imran Khan devised a strategy, a plan. That plan is to bowl that particular ball in the third or fourth ball when he bats. So match starts. Sachin Tendulkar has come with a bat. So as per the plot, a perfect plot is made. After 2 overs, that bowler has come and it was instructed to the bowler to bowl the ball in the third ball. So third ball, the bowler bowled the same ball, perfect plot, perfect apply. Tendulkar made the mistake as expected. The ball becomes a catch, the ball goes to the fielder. But fielder, unfortunately, unable to catch the ball. Immediately, the fielder was removed, the space became vacant. So the story over, India wins the match. At the end of the match, there was a press briefing. In the press briefing, reporters asked Imran Khan, so what was the strategy you had today to take the wicket of Sachin Tendulkar? Then you made a strategy, then after that you dropped the strategy, what went wrong, what was the plot? And Imran Khan explained to the media that, yes, there was a strategy. Sachin had a weakness in the initial overs. Before he settles down, so he has a weakness in this particular ball. So we bowled the ball, Sachin made the mistake, but unfortunately the fielder misses the catch. Then the reporters asked him, okay, no problem. Why don't you bowl the balls again in the next over? Imran Khan replied, no, Sachin makes mistake once. Once he makes some mistakes, he will not repeat. So there comes a normal batsman to the great batsman. That means a person makes a mistake. Making a mistake is not a big issue, but making the same mistake again, that is a big thing. So great men and normal men, there comes the difference. Even the great men and normal men make some mistakes. But great men learns the lessons from the mistakes. So that is why Sachin became great. So I want to give this example to know what is wrong decisions. So taking a wrong decision is not a big issue, but not learning the lessons from the wrong decisions, that is the thing, that is the problem. So that is where in that light only, in this context only, Simon Sinek says there are only two kinds of decision. One is right decision, another one is the lesson learned. So if we keep on learning the lessons from the wrong decisions, then it will be a perfect one and we will get success. There was an American literary poet called Robert Frost. He was a key man in the American literature. Those people who are studying MA literature and all, you may have that familiarity with Robert Frost. Robert Frost has written a poem called The Road Not Taken. It is an ambiguous poem. Are you able to hear? Please. Are you able to hear me? Voice is not audible? Are you able to hear me, audiences? Because I came to know that there is a voice problem. Is it okay? So the Robert Frost, if the audience have, if there is any problem in hearing the voice, you can raise the hand symbol, right? Okay, thank you. The Robert Frost has written the poem Road Not Taken. It is an ambiguous poem. Here he explains, everyone in the life reaches a position where we have to take a decision. So normally, we stand in a point of time, there are different roads diverges. Among the roads, we have to choose one road. Each road has its own destination. Once we choose the road, then we cannot come back. So this is a decision. So in your life, everyone has that mainstream to go it alone. So he says that life is a journey. And he highlights that those times when a decision has to be made to choose the life partner, to choose the higher education, to get the employment, to build the house, all these are the decisions, all these are the places, our roads are diverging in front of us. But we have to choose one road. But there comes the difference. That makes a difference in our life. But most of us, after choosing the road, after traveling considerable distance in the road, then we think of the roads which we have not taken. This is the common man ambiguity we have. We have chosen that means what? So that means we have taken the decision without calculating all other best alternatives. That's what this ambiguity, this confusion, every one of us have in our personal life. This Robert Frost has highlights in his poem, The Road Not Taken. Now we come to the definitions. It's the process of identifying and evaluating choices. It is the process of choosing the best alternative from the number of available alternatives. Decision making is nothing but choosing one alternative. There are alternatives, and which is the best alternative to suit us, according to our whims and fancies, according to our weaknesses and strengths, which is the best alternative. A best decision may be a wrong decision to your friend. A best decision for your friend may be a wrong decision to you. So decisions, choosing the path is different from one individual to another individual because of its strengths and weaknesses. So it's a process of identifying and evaluating the choices. We have a choices, then we evaluate all those choices, then we decide. This is the thing. Some important quotes on decision making. If decision making is a science, judgment is an art. Every one of us takes decisions, but how many of us are well in judgment? That's more important thing. That is why it says that judgment is not. Judgment can come with your experiences and the lessons learned from the experiences, and above all, your logical thinking with your experiences. Combination of both logical thinking and the experiences will give you a person of right judgment. Again, I come to cricket. Even the best bowlers, they judge the batsman through their body language. Even at the last minute of bowling, before relieving the ball, at the last moment, they changes the pace or direction. That means after judging the body language of the batsman. So judgment is an art, decision making. Then comes another important quote: "May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears," by Nelson Mandela. Every one of us know him, Nelson Mandela. He says that your decision should reflect not fears, but hopes. Man takes decisions on two grounds. One is the hope. He wants to achieve something. Another one is the fear. He wants to avoid something. So, but decision should be based on hope. Yes, I want to participate in a struggle against the injustice. That means hope. I want to avoid in protesting, expecting a backlash, a government action. That is fear. So Mandela says that may your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Good decisions come from experiences, and experience come from bad decisions. Mark Twain. Another one is don't make permanent decisions for your temporary failings. We have failings are temporary, but decisions should be permanent. So another one, Stephen Covey, says that I am not a product of my circumstances, I am a product of my decisions. Every one of us are the child of environment. The role of circumstances are more influencing in our decision making. Not only decision making, in our way of life. Almost all of us are the child of environment, and we are the product of environment. And whether we good or bad, most of the times we make it responsible, the environment. Even the Hitler, everyone knows him, notorious general and the Chancellor of Germany. So people used to justify his actions through the environment, blaming the environment. Because since birth, up to the age of 13, 14, whatever Hitler has seen is the black side of his life. He was thrown to the roads. Wherever he goes, he was denied permission. All the black things, negative things he experienced from the society. So once he matured, whatever he has experienced in the life, he has given back with interest to the same society. So environment, the influence of environment is more. But this Stephen Covey says, I am the product of my decisions. That is the conviction one must have. And this Jeff Bezos, the founder of Apple, the Amazon, he says that most decisions should probably be made with somewhere around 70% of the information you wish. That's all. But if you wait for further more information, then you will be delayed. Your decision will be not relevant. So don't wait for 100% facts, 100% information. So if you go on waiting for 100% fact or 100% hope, then it will be not possible. You will become indecisiveness. That is what the Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, explains of. Okay. The kinds of decisions. Here I have classified into two kinds. One is official decisions and another one is personal decisions. In each category, there are different kinds are there. In official decisions, we have a programmed decision and non-programmed decision. Second category in it where a strategic decision, tactical decision, and operational decisions, organizational decisions, individual decisions. In personal decision making, we have individual as well as group decision making. Now we see these things in a brief manner. What is programmed decision? This is we can find in the administrative setup. It is a routine one. It is almost an automatic process. Experience of past decisions. There are rules are existing. and we decide based on the rules. There is no question of emotions. There is no question of your personal ideas on the decision making. It is there. Programs are there. It's a structure. Rules are there. Structures are there. Through the structure, if you pass through the structure, you take a decision. This decision is made by the structures, rules, and regulations of the thing which is established in the company. This is called a programmed decision, complete bureaucratic decision. There is no personal views, whims, and fancies in it. Same thing, non-programmed decisions, unusual situations that have not been addressed, no rules to follow, since the situation is new. Where to invest, new technology should be adopted, should we introduce a new model? This is called non-programmed decisions. So these non-programmed decisions are there in the official level also, depending upon the situations. Then comes the strategic decisions. To achieve organizational goals, difficult influence the future of the business and involve the entire organization. What product should be introduced? Achieve customer satisfaction. These are all called strategic decisions. What strategy should be adopted to achieve the organizational goal? So this is what we have as a strategic decisions. Then comes the tactical decisions. Tactical decisions translate the strategic decisions into actions. Tactical decisions fall in the scope of middle management. Advertisement, opening new outlets, these are all called tactical decisions. Then comes operational decisions. These are all the decisions which are called day-to-day decisions. This is there to implement the policies the organization takes, their day-to-day decisions. Then comes group decisions. Group decisions is situation faced when individual collectively. So this is called personal decisions. In personal decisions, they have two categories: group decisions and individual decisions. Group decisions are always influenced by our co-members. When individuals collectively make responsible, for example, in a parliament, members take the decision. In a cabinet, one minister takes the decision and the entire cabinet becomes responsible for it. Company boards, meetings, everywhere we can find the group decisions. Group decisions are made as the group has become collectively responsible to everyone. Then individual decisions. Though decision taken individually, it has more influencing factors. An individual is different when he is alone. The same individual, when he is in a group, his character is different. The group behavior, group psychology is different than when a man is alone. A person may be in the sight of a police, a person may be afraid of the police as he is alone. But in a group, the same person who was afraid of the police, he was the first person to throw stone on the police. Why? This is a group psychology, where he got the courage. He has received the courage, the motivation from the co-members, the group. So group behavior, group psychology is different when it comes to when you compare the individual psychology and individual decision making. So individual decision making and group decision making are not slightly different. It is completely different. So this is the major difference we can find with the group decision making. The influencing factors are different. In individual decision making, the influencing factors are different. Psychologists explain how emotions, not logic, drive human behavior. Humans are made up of emotions, sentiments, emotions, affection, happiness, whatever the thing. We are all made up of feelings. We are all made up of emotions. So these emotions role in our decision making is more crucial. It influences our decision making, not logic. Yes, there is a logic, there is a reasoning, there is a calculation, there is a science. But which dominates, which influences our decision making? It is the emotions. So psychologists explain the role of emotions in the decision making. And another thing is the correctness of a decision cannot be judged from the outcome. Course of action is crucial. The decision is right or wrong depending upon its outcome. The decision seems to be right in the beginning, but in the course of time, the decision may prove wrong. As I told you, the Sachin Tendulkar's case, the decision was right, but the course of action was not in the expected lines. Before the cricket match starts, the two teams captains go and inspect the pitch. After inspecting the pitch, the captain decides, okay, this is the pitch, it will be helpful for the bowlers. So once we win the toss, we choose the bowling. Decision, systematic decision, scientific decision. But after choosing bowling, if the bowlers fail to produce, if the bowlers fail to materialize the help of the pitch, then the decision proved wrong. So that is why the correctness of a decision cannot be judged by the things. It is the course of action is more crucial. That makes a decision success or not. So the repercussion of indecisiveness is more than wrong decisions. That's another important thing. Sometimes we take decisions wrongly. Sometimes we take decisions perfectly. Sometimes, instead of because of fear or other things, we become indecisiveness. So this indecisiveness becomes more damageful than the wrong decisions. So components of individual decision making. This is more important thing. Herbert Simon, decision making theorist, he talks about two components in everyone's decision making. For everyone's decision making, my decision making or your decision making, every one of us are having decisions, we are making decisions. But these decisions have two components. One is fact statements, another one is value proposition. Combination of these two will lead to decision making. What is fact statement and what is value proposition? Fact statement remains the same, remains uniform to all the persons, but value proposition is different. That is there. Fact statement is one or many but remains same. Value proposition changes with the individual. We have a fact. Okay, you want to go to Chennai. This is 200 kilometers away. This is a fact statement. But value proposition, which mode of transport we choose, right? This is the value proposition. So something happens to us. We become victim. What is our response? So we lost something. It is a fact. But how do we respond? That is value proposition. One take revenge. One goes for legal action. One goes kept mum. One goes another way. One goes to the court. One goes to the police. These are all the value proposition. Because of value proposition, though fact statement remains the same, remains the uniform, value proposition makes the decision different thing. Okay, what is there in the value proposition? So the value proposition consisting of, these are all the factors. Environment, where we are, the society and social status, family, relatives and friends, culture and tradition, religion. These are all constitute the value proposition of an individual. This is the value proposition which influences our decision making. So we look the problem through the prism of environment, through the prism of society and social status, through the prism of family, relatives and friends, culture, traditions and religion, and so on. These are all makes our value proposition. Through this value proposition only, we take a decision. So the fact statements are the same, whether it is the Prime Minister of India or the President of America or you or me, fact statement remains the same, remains uniform. But our decisions are different. Why? It is value proposition. Herbert Simon believes that once you understand the value proposition of an individual, then you can understand the decision of every individual. Take it for a case of an election. A problem is there in one particular area. say for example, bad roads or not giving drinking water. The problem is same for the entire area. But what is the response of the people in the area? There are different responses. Some wait for elections. Some takes a road roko. Some files a petition. Why? The problem same. Why responses are different? That is where Herbert Simon says it is the value proposition that makes the decision making different. So the role played by value proposition people is Herbert Simon. Now, the importance. In personal life, we take decisions. Life decisions and normal decisions. Life decisions means to decide about our career, whether we are going to have the career in academics or business or sports or art. Then to choose our college or degree, whom should we marry, where to construct or buy our house. These are all life-changing decisions. But we take day-to-day decisions also, to have a coffee or tea, what we'll have dinner today. These are all the small, normal day-to-day decisions. These decisions no way will have any significant impact on our life, but the life-changing decisions are more important. So every human being, from the morning till the night, from the early childhood days till his death, keep on taking decisions. Some decisions are life-changing. Some decisions are normal day-to-day decisions. Here, there was a survey in 1970s. There, this survey finds out and tells the role of emotions in the decision making. What are all the roles? What are all the emotions which influences our decision making very particularly? In the 1970 survey by Paul Ekman, identified 6 basic emotions: happiness, sadness, disgust, fear, surprise, and anger. These are all the 6 major feelings, emotions, universally, irrespective of the culture, irrespective of the country, universally influences the decision making. These are all the basic emotions. Later, they have included pride, shame, embarrassment, excitement also. This is the thing, taking the value proposition as Herbert Simon. So we can combine the Herbert Simon's theory with the findings of the survey of Paul Ekman. We can understand that nowadays, the value proposition is made up of these several emotions. Happiness, sadness, disgust, and all. So research suggests that positive emotions such as happiness, comfort, contentness, and pleasure help us to make decisions and allow us to consider larger set of options. So once you are happiness, once you have the happiness, once you are peaceful, then you are able to view the problem in a broader way. Then you can open your eyes. You can see the problems in a broader way. Then most of the alternatives you are able to identify, most of the alternatives you are able to see. Otherwise, if you are influenced by emotions, then your eyes are closed. You are left with only one alternative or 2 alternatives. So positive emotions, that is called happiness or comfort or contentness. So the role of emotions is more. Here they have classified emotions into 2 categories: positive emotions and negative emotions. The positive emotions will help you, will enable you to see more opportunities, more alternatives, more choices. So through that, you can take the decisions. So emotions influences our attitudes, then which in turn, it influences our decision making. So this survey finds out, later adds 3 more emotions, including it totally comes around 10 emotions as the major emotions taking our decisions. So another thinker, Michael Levine of psychology, says, rationality only represents about 20% of human decision making, but emotions drive 80% of the decision making. So man as an emotional being, this emotional being influenced his 80% of the decision makings. We take decisions, 20% of them are logical behind it. There's a logic behind it. There's a science behind it. But 80% of the decisions are taken with the influence of emotions. Whether it is a developed country, whether it is a developing country, whether it is underdeveloped country, human beings remains the same. Human beings are the same. They take decisions through the emotions. Here he talks about two brains, the emotional brain as well as the analytical brain. The emotional brain is the default brain. That is a decision-making system. Normally, we react, not respond. Thinkers always insisting that don't react, respond. What is the difference between reacting and responding? Reaction is done instantly. A person slapped me, immediately I slapped him back. Instant, it is reaction. Response means you apply your mind logically, which can be the best reaction, which can be the best way, best response you can make it. That is response. So normally thinkers emphasizing not to react, but to respond. Respond means applying your mind. That means through analytical mind. So, but normally emotion brain is a default decision-making system we have. In a research, the role of emotion in decision-making, these are all the findings comes out. The human brain has the two sides, thinking brain and analytical side. Thinking side is analytical side and the emotional side is the feeling side. Through this only, we have taken the decisions. The feeling brain has an experiential system, is more impulsive, has emotion-related associations and intuitions when making decisions. We always think about attach our decision with the friends, relatives, other sentiments, etc., etc. This is called experiential system. This influences our decision making. The classic assumption is that your thinking brain should direct decisions in life, but practically it does not. The feeling brain, what truly motivates people and control our choices, because emotions generally dictate our decisions. That's a normal phenomenon. Emotions generally dictates our decisions. Once you are able to identify the emotions which dictates your decision making, then you are able to control your emotions. The persons who are able to control the emotions, they can balance the emotions. Then the decision making will be purely neutral, purely objective, purely vision oriented. There comes the difference between a normal man and the great leaders. Great leaders are not influenced by all these their own personal emotions. They just leave their personal emotions and they have a vision. Through the vision only, they take a decisions. There comes the greatest of normal men and the great people. Now we come to another area. How, as a normal human being, can take right decisions. There are 4 steps involved in it. First, the step number 1, make simple decisions as normal behavior. What to wear, what to eat, where to do this thing, where to have a tea, all these things are normal decisions. Don't give much time to those decisions. For example, if you look at the founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, just see him, most of the meetings, most of the functions, he wears at least the ash colored dress. The Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, just to see him, always he wears black dresses. The Bill Gates, you just remind him, he just wears light colored dresses. So what does it mean? That means they don't want to give much attention to the dresses and all. They give much attention to the much more important things. And we respect them not for their dresses, but because of their attitudes, actions, and brains. So they say that some decisions, some simple decisions, make it as a normal behavior. Normal behavior. So don't let them allow your decision making, right? Step number 2, take decisions in the morning. Simple decisions can be made at any time, but life-changing decisions should be taken in the morning. Why in the morning? After taking a long rest, after you sleep, the mind will be fresh. Mind will be smart. Mind is complete contentness. During that time, mind can see other alternatives, more choices. So that is why they insist on the morning time. And the psychologists also believe that at the morning time, whatever you feel, that will automatically inculcate in your subconsciousness. So if it is in subconsciousness, if it is inculcated in the subconscious, automatically, whether you know it or not knowing it, inadvertently, you are driven by your subconsciousness. That's most important thing. Your subconsciousness will start controlling your actions. That is why normally in the earlier days, people used to advise the young people, as soon as you wake up, you fresh up and worship. What does it mean? They want to inculcate the value of religion at the earliest age. So if it is inculcated in the morning, it will be ever in your subconsciousness. So one of the successful tips for a best decision making for your life is to take decisions in the morning, not in the afternoon, not in the evening, not in the night. Your mind must be fresh. Your mind must have a good rest. Then you approach a particular problem, you will find the result. You try it. For example, tomorrow you try this. If you have any problem, today or night, you just approach the problem, whatever the solutions you can find, you just write down those choices, those decisions, close the notebook and slept. Next day morning, you wake up. Now, afresh, you approach the problem. Again, you note down the decisions. You compare both decisions. Then you find out the role of mind, the role of peaceful mind, the role of mind which has a complete rest, and the role of morning in your decision making. So this is proved scientifically in the decision making. Next step number 3, don't take decisions based on your temporary feelings and the peak of emotions. Normally, emotions drives us to take a decision, compels us, forces us to take a decision. But at the peak of emotion, don't take a decision. That is why even the psychologists keep on insisting that if you feel disgust, if you want to suicide, for example, yes, I don't want to be in the planet Earth, I want to go, I want to suicide, okay, good decision, but don't implement the decision for the next 24 hours. That means after 24 hours, the peak of emotions may get reduced, then your brain will be able to see the choices, see the alternatives, and finally see the solutions. So once the brain sees the solution, then there is no question of suicide. That means at the peak of emotions. For example, if you find some drunkard man, then he is ready to give anything, everything, the money, the wealth, at the peak of emotions. The next day, when he becomes normal, you approach him about his decision in the previous night, then he said no. Why? Because of the peak of emotions, the decisions are influenced by emotions. That will be most probably wrong. So, but normally these emotions influences our decision making, compels us. Finally, the step number 4. Decisions should be based on reasoning and vision. Before taking a decision, you ask some basic questions. Whether the decision brings gain and happiness in my life. Whether this decision affects my name and fame. Will I regret in the future all these decisions? You just take a note and write the questions and write the answers. Then your systematic brain, your analytical brain starts functioning. What we have to practice for decision making is the functioning of analytical brain when during the decision making. Normally, we are not practicing it. As psychologists believe that normally we always allow the emotional brain, feeling brain to take a decisions dominant in the decision making. But we must practice it every time. Whatever you are going to take a decision, you make it as a systematic one. Take the decision, write the decision, write the weaknesses, the strengths, the gain and happiness. This decision, whether it is affects my name and the fame, will I regret in the future for this decision? Do everything, you write it down. True to yourself, you write answers for these questions. That means your analytical brain started functioning. When your analytical brain started functioning, ultimately your decision will be perfect, will have a vision, will have the future, will have a reasoning. So this we must practice. Unless otherwise we practice and make it as a behavior, this analytical brain will not work normally. So decision making is an art as well as science. Those who dare to take challenging decision wins and achieve. Even if it is a right decision, if it gets delayed, it will be a wrong decision. That's more important thing. You may take a right decision, but if you delay it for a long time, the decision will be not relevant, indecisive. So indecisiveness, another important thing, will harm you more than the wrong decisions. After systematic analysis, you take a decision. But once you take a decision, there is no question of looking back. That's what Robert Frost, in the first slide itself, I told you what Robert Frost says. We have chosen a road, we make a travel to a considerable distance. After that, we think of the road which we have not taken. That is a normal behavior, but that should not be there. But before taking a decision, you analyze, apply your analytical mind. You just systematically look around all other alternatives. Take the decision in the morning. After that, there is no question of looking back. That's what Thiruvalluvar correctly pointed out. Enni thuniga karmam tuninda pin ennuvom enbadu ezhukku. Once you take a decision, but before taking a decision, you apply all alternatives, all choices, all systematic way. Through reasoning, you apply the mind, you take a decision. But after taking a decision, true to the decision, completely give you a complete force to the decision, there is no question of looking back. Here I want to emphasize an example from Dr. Ambedkar's life. Every one of us know Ambedkar's life. Every one of us know the contribution made by Ambedkar to the Indian political system. But one decision he contemplated for more than 2 decades. In the autobiography, we can find that more than 2 decades he contemplated about the issues in the Hindu religion. And finally, he decided to convert himself into the Buddhist religion. In 1916, 1956, almost 350,000 people, along with the followers, he converted himself into Buddhism. So he tried all his best to set right the issues in the Hindu religion, all his efforts systematically, through all other means. And finally, he has come to the conclusion that converting from Hinduism to the Islam, the Buddhism, is a matter of fact. So he considers Islam, he considers Christianity also. He finds a kind of foreignness with the Islam and the Christianity. So he has chosen Buddhism from Hinduism. So this is the decision he has taken after a careful examination of all other alternatives he has in mind. Then what is a good decision? These are all the characteristics we have for a good decision. Good decisions positively impact others. That not only brings success to you, but also motivates others to take their decisions. That is a good decision. The second characteristic is it should have replicable. Everyone should copy the decision. They want to involve in it. They want to inculcate the decision in their personal life, and it fosters opportunity. Good decisions include others embarrassing it. Good decision is executable. systematic, and accountable. And it can be fixed responsibility, whom is accountable. And pragmatic, and good decisions involve self-awareness, where we are, how much decisions we have taken, how much distance we have covered in the decision, and which is our strength and which is our weakness, where we are going to go. This is self-awareness. So good decisions must have all these characteristics. If this is the thing, if you find the characteristic of these things in your decision, then you think that your decision is good. What are the skills for better or effective decision making? First and important thing is active listening. In our online course, we are going to have one special lecture for listening. So listening is the first important thing for an effective decision making. Another important thing is interpersonal skills. One must have the interpersonal skills. Through the skills only, through these interpersonal skills only, one can take a better decisions, collaborations. Another thing is communication, effective communication. Very effective communication makes the much important decision making. And through the communication, you can make others to influence. You can influence others to take a decision. Most of us know, again, the Hitler. Hitler was an effective communicator. Hitler looks not a bright man. It's a very small man, very short-eyed man, the short height also. But when it comes to communication, Hitler is a very effective communicator. Through his emotional, effective communicating speech, he can charge the crowds. The entire German people believe that killing the Jews is mandatory. Killing the Jews is justifiable. The entire German people believed it. How they believed it? Because of the effective communication skills of Hitler. But the problem is, Hitler used the communication skills in a negative way. That's a problem Hitler has. Then logic, then problem solving, then critical thinking, then time management. Yesterday morning, you have the class of time management. All these things are needed for a better and effective decision making. What are the hurdles? For effective decision making, here are the hurdles we have. First thing is lack of time. Sometimes we are in urgent need of taking decisions. Because of the lack of time, we are not in a position to take right decisions. Another thing is reliable data. Once you have the facts, once you have the data within you, then you can take the right decision. Then risk-taking ability, another important thing. Those who challenge us, they can get the maximum win. And if there is too many options, if there are too many options, it will end up in confusion. Too many cooks will spoil the food. That means if there are too many options, you are confused, and what decision you have to take with just a bit of confusion you have. Inadequate support, another important thing. Because if you are lacking interpersonal skills, then you have inadequate support. If there is inadequate support financially, if there is inadequate support materially, logically, emotionally, then it will become the biggest hurdle in your decision-making things. When I talk about group behavior, a person who get afraid of police, when he is in the crowd, he was the first person to throw stone on the police. How much he get the courage? The courage he received from the group, the support. So that the support is there for everyone to take a decision. If there is a support, if there is a courage or wisdom comes outside from your friend, from your relative, from somebody, then it will be easy for you. Otherwise, it is a hurdle. Then lack of resources, money or something, and inability to change. Most of us are conservative, you know. We are living in the world of globalization. We are living in the world of digitalization, but still we are conservative. Still we are more caste oriented. Still we are more about traditions. And one clear example is United Kingdom. United Kingdom, there is a party called the Conservative Party is there. the most conservative people in the world is the English people. Never, they don't want to change. Even today, the courts, the forces is safeguarding the queen. They are the most conservative people. So first thing for a better decision making is to inability to change is the most important hurdle. If you are able to change, then it is the beginning of decision making. Finally, I want to give one important autobiography written by George Bush. George Bush Jr. was the president of United States of America for almost 8 years. During his time, there was much more things happened. September 11 terrorist attacks, the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, AIDS epidemic, problems in Africa, global financial crisis. So many problems happened in the US and the globe also. He has written the autobiography. The autobiography he has given the title as Decision Points, wherein he emphasized how decisions are important, how one must take a decisions, how decisions are changing the entire scenario. Yes, it was a big book. He has elaborated the decision points with more examples. Here, one important thing he wants to highlight, that is simplification. Simplification is needed at various points in the decision making and the execution process. Whatever the goal you have, doesn't matter. You have a simple decision makings. You simplify the decisions. Yes, I want to pass the UPSC examinations. Yes, it's a big decision, but simplify the decision making. That means, yes, don't think that you're going to pass the civil service in one go. You simplify it. Today, this is the lesson I want to study. That's all. This is today's decision. So similarly, you simplify the decision making for each day, and finally, you will reach the summit. Another important gist we can find from his book, Decision Point, is the importance of the team. He says that a leader is only good as the team or he or she has, preferably experienced and motivated. That's what we have seen as a hurdle. If you have the support, if you have the team, motivated, experienced team supporting you, then it is a big asset for you to take decisions. The leader, again, take the right decisions at the facts in his disposal. Third important thing is facts. Whatever the facts you need to take a decision, if every fact is at your hands, at your disposal, then it will be easy for you to take a decisions. So the environment, another important thing is there. You need to be able to create an environment for people to tell you the things you don't want to hear. That is very important things. Idipara illa yamaram mannan kedupan illanum kedum. It's a Thiruvallur's couplet. As per this couplet, Thiruvallur says that whether the rock has to be noted, advised to the king. So he says that if you have a true friends, then they must tell you the hard truths, whether you like it or not. So here he explains, emphasizes the role of friends in the decision making, role of advisors or counselors. Thiruvallur has written 40 couplets, 40 couplets in friendship. Thi Natpu, Pura Natpu, Natparaidal, Natpu, all 40 couplets deal with the friendships. So in the decision points, George Bush emphasized the role of true advisors, true counselors, the role of friends for us individually. That's more important things, more than the relative, more than the other things. If you have a true friends to show you which is right and wrong, whether you take it the right way or not, their duty is to show the truth. Another thing is process. Importance of means, he emphasized it. The course of action. The gist of decision points says that simplify the issue, assemble the right team, marshal the right facts, and create a good process and act decisively. This is the gist we can find with the decision points. So this is what we can find with the decision making. So friends, here I want to highlight some points through tips, how the decision making is most important, the steps in decision making, the role of emotions in decision making, and finally, how we can overcome the emotions, how we can get the balance of emotions in the decision making. So if we follow these things in a scientific way, then we can take a better effective decision makings. So if we take a better effective decision making, then it will lead to success in our day-to-day life, in our personal life, and in our academic life. So at this point, I thank the